Brilliant. There we go. It's working. That is always a relief. That was such good fun chatting to you guys before we got ready. I kind of lost track of time, so apologies for that. So welcome to another Photo Creative Challenge. If you're new here, Photo Creative Challenges are monthly projects for you to practice your photography. We have a highly supportive community of photographers, as you may have seen in the chat. People of all levels. They're in our Facebook group where you will find engaging discussion and imagery. If you'd like to join in, there is a link in the description area that goes with this live stream. Tonight's feedback session is for the Sunshine Challenge. I've chosen 6 images which I think are the most striking. Of course, that is only my opinion. And we'll come to those at the end of this session, which will be in approximately 1 hour. Any feedback and critique which I give is intended to coach everyone, to help you grow your abilities. And I do consider whether the photographer is experienced or maybe starting out. If I don't happen to mention your image, please don't take that as a negative. So, news, couple of little things that I need to say. As you know, we've been kind of struggling to keep Photo Creative rocking and rolling because I've now got rather a large commitment on my time, and donations haven't quite covered the costs. Now, a big shout out thank you to several of you who have made a donation before we even started. That is really kind of you. If it's something that anyone else would like to do, there is a link to the Photo Creative page of my site where you can do that in the description. Because I hope these sessions and these challenges are of value to everyone. Now, there's a couple of changes coming because we've got to pare this back just a little bit. So if you are signed up to the Photo Creative newsletter, which I have been encouraging everyone to do, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to discontinue it because it takes quite a long time getting everything together and writing it and preparing it and getting the auto machine to send it. So we are going to be discontinuing that. However, the challenges will still be posted on the Photo Creative page of my website and of course in the Photo Creative group on Facebook, so keep your eyes open for that. There is a link to the Photo Creative page of my website in the description with this live stream. I would strongly recommend you click on it and then bookmark that page so that you don't miss anything. There is going to be another challenge, you'll be glad to know, and that will be going live immediately after we have done this feedback session. However, there will not be the usual newsletter coming with it. It will go live when I finish. When we finish here, I will click the button. So how is everybody? It is just completely amazing watching your chat and everybody's showing up here. So many regular faces. And of course, a few new ones I think I am recognizing here. So thank you all for being there. Who'd have thought we'd still be doing this, what, 2.5 years later? Wow. Okay, so I think that's about all I need to say to everybody. All food, Mike. Thank you, have I could do with some dinner. I had one of those frustrating days. Hello, Wendy. I had one of those frustrating days down where actually I met you, Wendy, at Muddyford. Because I'm making a whole bunch of videos and things which are branded and for ClickerSnap to help grow that community. And it was one of those days when I thought I want to go and do something about HDR bracketing, that sort of thing. And I needed some really bright highlights. And 1 minute it's bright and sunny and then it isn't. Do I go? Don't I go? And there was that kind of conversation, you know, going on in my head. Well, shall I just stay here and do something that I know it's done? But you know what? There's a problem with that. And that is you're being a conversation for no possibility. So if I was to go, there's a chance I might be able to film something. But if I don't go, I know there's no chance I'm going to film something. And I'd like you guys to consider that with your photography and maybe with these challenges. Because if you have a go, there's a good chance you'll get something which you'll learn from at the very least. But if you don't have a go, well, there's no possibility there, is there? So that's all I wanted to say on that subject. Now, I discovered polls in the chat, as you may have noticed. and I thought it'd be fun to have a go. Now I'm not quite sure how you drive this, so I can end the poll, but the question was, and it's still there, will you enter the next challenge regardless of what it is? Because this is the key. Don't look at it and think, oh yeah, that'll be really easy, I can go and do that. The key is to look at it and go, you know what, that looks really complicated, and that is the one you want to have a go at, because no pain, no gain. Now, what have we got? We got 59 votes in, and 92% of you lovely folks say that you will do it. So come on everybody, let's get stuck in. Let's end that poll. Let's take that away. Did that work? I think it will. Who knows? You know me in tech. Right. So let me get my screen sorted out. I've lost part of it, and we can get stuck into this evening's feedback session for, here we go, Photo Creative Challenge, Sunshine. Awesome number of entries. There was some great humour being shown as well in this challenge, which was absolutely brilliant. So let's get back up to the top and just have a look at some of these images. As I said earlier, if I don't talk about your image, please do not take that as a negative. It just means we're all drawn to certain images, and as always it is a painful process choosing when there are so many. There's only 6 that I can go with. So let's dive in. What have we got, Kirsten? Let's have a look at your image because it's right near the start. Now the first thing I want to do is just to congratulate you in looking at the red and blue, because red and blue, they're best friends, they're opposite on the colour spectrum. That means they always work very, very well together. So the red and the blue is great. Technically you're spot on because of course it's lovely and sharp, your exposure's perfect. Now I get that these are 2 red boys floating in the blue water in the sunshine, but I'm not quite getting that feeling of sunshine. What are you saying about these 2 floating objects that people tie their boats to? This is something which we need to think about. Try, wherever possible, to take a picture about something rather than of something. And that is tough when we're starting out on our journey, when we're maybe not quite so experienced. Starting out could be the wrong word, because maybe you've only just started with photography, but you're putting in hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. I met someone a couple of weeks ago on the beginner's workshop who was doing exactly that, and he was getting very good very quickly. On the other hand, you may have been using a camera for many years, but you're not that experienced because you haven't done it that much. So it's a difficult thing to do, to try and say something about something in a photo. But Kirsten, technically spot on. Congratulations on spotting the colour. I love the fact that these boys are backlit, so the light's coming towards you, and that's what's giving them that lovely shape. So what else have we got? This was one which caught my eye here as well. Sorry, I need to move something on my screen so that I can see what is going on in all the relevant places. Right, that's better. Let's go in here. Dina Peters. I thought this was really great. It certainly caught my eye straight away. It's a great idea. You've got definitely the sunshine feeling going on here, haven't you? Sunglasses with that starburst of the sun, and I don't know, I'm guessing that's probably you reflected in there. But it looks to me like, if it is you, Dina, are you here? If you are, is this you? I want to know. Because if it is you, looks to me like you've thought about how to stand. You haven't just thought about how to do the shot. I don't know, maybe it isn't you. But either way, it's so well positioned to have that starburst of the sun just on the hip. It's a very creative image. Something for me which isn't quite working, and I think it's distracting from it, is this shadow up here in the corner. Would it have been possible to do this just a little bit to the right so you didn't have that dark shadow? Now I will bet that when you were looking at this, when you started, you didn't even see the shadow, because eyes and cameras see light differently. One, you're concentrating on the reflection and your shutter and your aperture and your exposure and your focus and all that camera stuff. but also that shadow wouldn't have looked as black to your eyes. And I just realised my mic on. Could you hear me properly? Apologies, the sound should get a little bit better when I put this on. I was so busy messing around in the chat. Does that sound alright, guys? Please just tell me in the chat. So yeah, the shadow would not look as dark as it does in the image because our eyes can see into shadows. Thanks guys, sorry about that. Much better than the camera can. But it's a great effort. Good creative thinking, technically very well executed. Oh, there's so many pictures here. Sasha John. Good evening, Sasha John. Well, it's evening for me anyway. Nice thinking. Nice thinking. Again, technically, very good indeed. Tricky exposure, and you got it just right. And I'm guessing a bit of light is coming through your suntan cream tube, which is helping us to see what is going on. Sunshine. Good thinking. I like the way you've positioned the starburst. You've thought about creating a starburst. That means using a very small aperture in order to make that happen. So well done on that. I don't think those bits of tree in the corners are helping. I think it might have worked better just against the blue sky, but good creative thinking nonetheless. And of course, technically, I'd say you've got that about right. Difficult exposure because of course your hand is in complete shadow. Being very picky here in this piece of coaching, but maybe just a finger and thumb sort of holding rather than gripping it quite so much in your hand might have helped. But good thinking, good attempt. Oh dear, look at them all. We're never going to get through them if I keep staying at this end of the page. But you've got to love this, haven't you? I think that's a beautiful picture, Paul. I love the haziness, the mistiness. Thursday evening, interesting. Because it looks rather more like a morning shot to me with that mist, that haze, unless it was from a bonfire. I'm not going to read it all. World was blanketed in fog. Okay, I just spotted that. Beautifully done shot. It certainly has the feeling of sunshine. Like the way the two brightest parts are obviously the sun. That's what this one's all about. But also look how the light is coming through these leaves at the bottom. It's making a connection. It is saying a little bit about the evening or the morning. It is the evening. I think it's a great shot, Paul. Obviously, technically it's spot on. Could be a tricky exposure to do sometimes, a shot like this. I like the way you managed to keep it all a little bit dark and moody to get a few of those light rays coming in. I would love to see the original of this because of course it's been through Facebook and now it's streaming. Who knows what it really looks like. Really good work, Paul. Okay, let's just slide on down just a bit further and see what we've got. Now I like this idea. David de Genova. I do like this idea a lot. A sunflower. What could say sunshine more than a sunflower? And what works even more than having a little honey maker sitting in there, all covered in pollen, ready to be turned into something delicious. My mum used to call honey bee spit. I still do. But I do like your idea. Also, we've got that hint of blue around the bottom. Yellow and blue, also best mates. I think it works very, very well indeed. That's a difficult shot to get, you know, technically and everything else. So yeah, exposure's probably not so difficult in this case, but capturing that bee in mid-flight and still being able to see all the little grains of pollen. If you're here, David, I'd love to know how long you spent playing around with this idea. Because photography isn't just going click. Taking a picture probably takes, what, a 500th of a second. But being in the right place at the right time and thinking about the light and hanging around to capture a bee or something like that, that could take hours. Great picture, David. Great picture. I can't see you in the chat, but I know there's always the delay on my end, and yours for that matter. Let's move on. If you're here, I'd be interested to know. Now, railway tracks. Windswept and interesting. Darren Sangster. I get it. Yeah, totally get it. I love the way the light is reflecting in those rails. Sunshine. We've certainly got some sunshine. I like the way the rails are leading us off into the picture. I don't know. Let's do a little hand crop, everybody. I'm just thinking, do we need quite so much of the rails in the foreground and possibly to the right? You see the sign that says Lancing on the platform? I'm just thinking, what happens if we just take that out? So we've got sort of the sky, obviously, and the sunset and the tracks, but I'm just thinking of taking off just sort of where the colour starts to fade out of these tracks and maybe cropping up there. What do you think? Who's doing it? Who is checking that crop? Because I just think it makes it a bit stronger. We don't need quite so much of the building on the right. The picture's about sunshine and a journey, and I think you are right on it. Again, technically spot on. Everything is sharp, everything is in focus, great exposure. One thing, Darren, I'm being hard here on the coaching, and of course this bit is personal taste. It looks to me like the sky has been pimped just a little too much in post-production. To me, it feels like it's gone just a bit too far. I could be very wrong. I know for a fact I've got a sunset photo I took in Cambodia running a workshop out there, and I desaturated it, and it still looks like I've pimped the colours up. It was that crazy. But my thoughts are, just looking at this, it just looks like that sunset has possibly been overworked a little bit for the amount of light that's going on the tracks, but that's pretty harsh coaching, and that is of course just my preference or opinion. David Mill, what have we got going on here? You've worked hard to get your composition right, haven't you? Oh, interesting. Gert just said that looked like an iPhone sky. And it might be. Where has it gone? Where has it gone? I can't find it now. Why can't I find it? I don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter. There it is. iPhone sky. Yeah, it could be. I don't know if it's taken on a phone. I have no objection to using a phone to shoot pictures. Phone is the camera we've always got with us. I have got a cracking picture of some amazing weather over the Isle of Wight, which the light came through and it lit up the Needles Rocks, and it only lasted a brief moment. Yes, I had a bag full of cameras on my back, but by the time I'd opened the bag and got a camera out, too late, gone. So phones are great. Wide angle on iPhone could well be. Of course, with an iPhone you can still pinch and zoom a bit. You can still use focal length to sort of move in a bit, or of course move our bodies, because composition is a dance we have with our cameras. Right, back to David. David, you've thought about your composition pretty hard, haven't you? Chapel Viaduct. I love the shapes that you've got going on in here. Again, technically perfect, nice and sharp, spot on exposure. What else can I say? I do feel that it's missing the sunshine element, you know, that happy bubbly sunshine feeling. It's not quite there for me. I could be completely wrong. But I do like your picture and I do like your idea. Now it's a shame there's a little bit of a tilt on it, but hey, I'm being picky because I would be a rubbish coach if I wasn't. As a shot, as a standalone shot, personally, I think you could lose. Where is something? Here we go. A hard drive in this case. I'm going to just take pretty much all of the top off and just take it to where that little band is running across that part of the viaduct. Because I think what is interesting is what's going on in here, this repeating pattern going on down through there. Now this was shot with a wide angle lens. Very well done too, David. And it's brought in the sky and a little bit of cloud, and I get that we're going for the sunshine thing, but as a standalone image I almost wonder if you used a slightly longer lens and just sort of shot it vertically on this area, because I love those repeating shapes going off down in there. But nonetheless, Craig says smartphones are going to be the death of the world. It's very pessimistic. Smartphones, I am very surprised that smartphone technology has not been brought into cameras per se. Excuse me, by the way, I got a bit of a cold, so if I suddenly disappear off your screen, it's because I need to empty my nasal cavity, and you do not want to watch that. Personal thought, I'm surprised that we haven't got a camera out yet which uses the phone technology but with a really great quality sensor and interchangeable lenses. Yes, I know many phones will shoot RAW files and all the rest of it, but with a bigger... my mic has slipped. A lot of added noise. Oh right, it's rustling. Apologies. I don't know why the clip seems to be the wrong way out, but I don't want to mess around with it at the moment. Let's try that. I'll try and sit still too. I think phones will probably, well, that technology will eventually come into mainstream photography. So yeah, great image. Let's move on some more because we got a lot of ground to cover and it is already 20 minutes in. Beverly Devine, how can I not talk about that? Because I just love the way you've caught a little bit of sunshine in that sprinkler. In all honesty, Beverly, because you've been around this for a long time, I don't think it's one of your strongest images, but I do like the fact you have caught the sunshine in the water. When you backlight water, it really comes to life and starts to look very, very misty, very, very sort of, I don't know, what's the word? Yeah, misty, I suppose. That's all there is to it. When you put light through something which is translucent, you do that from behind, it just comes to life. Again, technically spot on. You've captured the mist, great exposure, everything's lovely and sharp. I like these little droplets of water coming out to the side here. Sue Owen, I agree, it is atmospheric. Yeah, cool picture. Let's slide on down a bit further. There's quite a few in here that I find extremely funny, by the way. What have we got going on here? Boisvert. Sunshine. Okay, so I'm not quite getting the sunshine element. I'm sorry, Boisvert. Yes, there's sunshine going on in the background, and we've got these statues that are obviously very important historically. But for me, the feeling of sunshine, that little bubbly, effervescent, is kind of missing in this shot. I don't think it quite works for the brief. Very well done technically, of course, because it's a difficult exposure. They're in deep shade and the sunshine is going on behind them, yet you have managed to get that balance between very bright and quite dark, which again, to your eyes, it would not look as contrasty as that because cameras and eyes see light differently. But good job, Boisvert. Oh, what do we got? So many pictures, so many pictures. Moving on. Michelle Dana. I like the way the light is picking out this one lady with the flowers. To me, that is kind of a happy thing. Unfortunately, she looks just a little bit serious. But I do like the way you have noticed, recognised and shot this because you're using light to highlight your subject. She doesn't look like she's feeling very sunshiny. That's the only problem. Very, very hard to do to capture people in these sorts of situations. Craig just said he's going to get a Facebook account and have the username pessimistic. Hope I didn't offend, mate. Technically, there is a little bit of camera shake going on in here, Michelle. It's not quite sharp, and I'm thinking it's probably a little bit of camera shake because it looks to me like everything is not quite sharp. It's not like it's focused in the wrong place. So I'm guessing your shutter speed was just a bit low, which is surprising because you were shooting at a wide aperture. I can see this because the background is all out of focus. It's a soft bokeh look, which is concentrating us. But also, of course, it could be a Facebook compression algorithm. You never know, depending on the size you upload something, Facebook does weird stuff to it. But yeah, nicely done. I love the way you use the light. And of course, again, your exposure is very good. Oh, now Laura Lynn McLean. Oh, I fought over this. I fought with myself. I did. I fought with myself. Because that is such a great image. Also had to disassociate from myself my love of airplanes and aircraft. Airplanes and motorbikes, love them both. Can't afford an airplane, which is probably a good thing. But this is a beautifully captured aviation photograph, and it has got this wonderful feeling of sunshine, you know, being free in the skies. It's like I can kind of imagine somebody has just come back, they've been flying, they've been somewhere, free in the skies, three-dimensional motorcycling. That's what airplanes are. And they got the plane parked up, nice shiny airplane. I love the fact that the props are absolutely on that X, that cross. I don't know if you managed to do that yourself, Laura, or it's just the way it was. But well spotted as well for noticing the light on the aircraft, the way that bit of orangey low in the sky sun is just coming up the side of the body of the plane. Look how it's just putting this little rim light around the wings so they really stand out. And everything is really straight. You've been very, very careful with your composition. Everything is absolutely, with the cross and the wings, spot on. Beautifully executed photograph, Laura Lynn, and I do get sunshine coming out of it, just as we get sunshine coming out of here, Denise Savage. I get it. I grew up with dogs. My mum used to breed dogs. At one point we had 9 of the blasted things all fighting and squabbling and climbing over your dinner. But I get it. A dog lying in the sun. We don't need to see the whole dog to know what's going on here. Dogs just find a bit of sunshine, don't they? And that's it. They're off, you know. They're into it. They're doing it. I like the shadow coming in at a diagonal as well. I think it's a really simple, very inventive, very creative way to interpret sunshine. Dog lying in the sun. What could be more normal? Technically spot on, of course. You know, everything's nice and sharp. The exposure's spot on. What more can I say? I agree with you, Annette. Yes, I love it as well. Wish I could have done more. I want to give you all a prize. You all deserve a prize just for being here, for getting into action, for doing the challenge, for getting stuck in, because you can't learn to play football by watching a football match. Sooner or later you've got to get on the pitch and kick a ball a lot, and that is what you are doing here. Another beautiful piece of light, Phil Saunders Hall. I love the light that you got coming in here. Now I am guessing this is in the Natural History Museum in London. Really interesting building. What do we got here? It's either a dinosaur or a whale. Could be a whale. Could it be a blue whale skeleton? I don't know. Stop digressing, Browne. But again, the way you've used the sunshine to highlight the subject. Again, it's a slightly tricky exposure. Now the highlights are a little bit burnt. Now I'm not someone who bangs on about burnt highlights, because some highlights burn out. This is a difficult shot because I would say the interior looks just right, but of course the vertebrae are just that little bit burnt out here. I don't know what to say really, Phil. If it was shot as a JPEG, I'd say that's a pretty good effort. If it was shot as a RAW file, then you may have been able to just pull those highlights down a bit and lift the shadows up a bit. Little trick you can do if you're shooting RAW, by the way, in a very contrasty situation like this, is to put your camera onto bracket mode. Set your bracketing up so you're doing a couple of stops under and a couple of stops over and one smack in the middle. Combine that with burst mode, and then you can just line up your shot, and when you hit that shutter it will do those 3 frames really quickly. Most cameras can shoot 10-15 frames a second now, which means you don't need a tripod. Obviously in this situation you've got to watch out for your shutter speed to make sure it's not too slow, so you've got to be careful with the starting point. JPEG direct from the phone. Very good, Phil Saunders Hall. Yeah, very good, mate, very good. So there we go. I'm blathering on about shooting RAW files and bringing down highlights. Shoot RAW only when you're using DSLR. Yeah, I get it. Also, I mean, my old phone won't even shoot a RAW file. barely shoots a JPEG, to be honest. But I love the way you've seen it. I like the way you've composed it, the way everything's all lined up, well spotted. And again, the phone is the camera we've always got with us. Boom. You're getting a shout out, dude. Nice shot. Let's scroll on down, so at least you get to see everything. I've got to just talk about this one's quickly. James Cavaretto. Morning sunshine in Seattle. Yeah, isn't it? I get it. It's that happy feeling. And somehow it feels like morning, James. I don't know how you managed to achieve that. You know that feeling, you're sitting there, you got your morning cup of coffee, the light's coming through the window, and I get that feeling from this picture. Technically spot on, of course, perfectly sharp, great exposure, shallow depth of fields by using a wide aperture, so you're separating the background out from the things you want us to look at. Now, for some strange reason, even though there's quite a lot there, I don't actually feel lost. You know, it would be very easy to feel lost. What am I meant to be looking at? Somehow I find this little chime with the little triangular hat draws my eye. Guys, in the chat, please, what draws your eye? What do you look at first here? I'm just intrigued to find out. Is it the cactus? Is it the garlic jar? Is it the little figurine? What do you see first when you look at that picture? Yeah, the exposure's spot on. Everything's good. I do get that feeling of morning sunshine. What more can I say? Why does this work so well? Backlight, of course, it's putting that wonderful rim light going on around everything that's going on here. But because of what's in the garden beyond the window, because it's dark, so the sun, let's have a look. Where are we? So let's say that is the wall, you know, of the shed. Here's the house window, and the sun is coming this way, so that the background is in shade, so that the front of the figurines are in shade, so the rim light works. Do get distracted by the faucet head. I wondered what that was. Thank you, Crystal. Excuse me. Apologies. Oh, I got to tell you a disgusting story. I was filming something today and there was a gap in the light and I really needed to film it quickly. You know, and you can feel something moving in your nose, and I'm thinking, no, please don't, because I can't start making pig noises in the middle of recording a video, can I? Yep, it fell. I had to stop and start again and run for the hanky. But faucet, I wasn't quite sure what that was, and I don't know why I digressed into filming. Great job, James. Ken Grant. I get the sunshine aspect here, Ken. You are using sunshine very well. Sorry, Susan, I hope I haven't put you off your dinner or breakfast, of course, if you're Jane Barnes in New Zealand. You're using the sunshine very well. I get it. You've got a great location here. By exposing for the highlights and letting the shadows go dark, you can make some really great shots in places like this. The thing is, Ken, I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to be looking at, because these highlights on the pillar are very strong indeed. They're kind of distracting, and I don't know whether this is about the person or about the pillar. Also, we've got this lady just sneaking into your picture. Very difficult thing to achieve. I think possibly shooting landscape way, losing the top. Let's have a look. What have I got here? I've got a hard drive here. Let's use that. Let's just take the top off down below those bright buildings on that balcony. So now we're just going down just above the head of this fella there. Are you doing this, guys? Give it a go. What do you think? I'm coming down just above that guy's head, and I think that improves it immensely. Somehow it seems to stop the highlights on the pillar from arguing with him. Now, of course, I'm assuming that your picture's about the guy, not the pillar. I could be very, very wrong, Ken. Please do tell us if you're here. But it's a great spot, and it's one of those things. If you wait there with your exposure already and your camera set and composed, and then watch people coming through. You know, if you could have caught someone who was like laughing or smiling, or a couple, something like that, that could work brilliantly, because then you got that sunshine, bubbly, effervescent feeling going on there as well. Oystein, I wish I knew how to pronounce all your names properly. It's good fun, isn't it? It's good fun. Your wife holding up the sun. Yeah, it's a cliche shot. We see them very, very often, but nonetheless, it's still fun, and I think you've done it well. I like the way that the sky and the water are all just sort of coming together at the right exposure. Everything seems to be well balanced. The other thing which, for me, actually makes this picture, strangely, is that little boat. Excuse me, it's coming, it's going to happen. Excuse me. I never get cold. How did I pick this up? I love that little triangular sail on the horizon. To me, that just makes it work. Somehow it just sort of balances it. We've got almost a triangular shape from your wife, and I'm not saying your wife's a triangle, but it's just that shape, that silhouette-y shape, and then it's sort of mirrored in this little boat. I think it's a great shot. Very, very well put together. Yeah, of course, technically it's spot on. I'm guessing you pulled the exposure down a bit to really saturate those colours and to make it a bit darker and moody. Don't forget, you can always argue with your light meter and your camera. It is you who is in control. It is you who should be able to choose what you want from your pictures. There's a couple of pictures in there I really want to talk about, and I hope I haven't gone past them. I hope I don't run out of time. John Colony. Wow. Wow. What more can I say? Wow. What a beautiful picture. You know, I get that feeling of sunshine with the feathers and the light coming through them. Beautiful composition, technically perfect. What more can I say? Let's slide on down a little further here. Matthew Parsons. Again, I get where you're going, my friend. You've got a reflection, you've got, you know, some sunshine, you've got some quite nice light sneaking onto these trees. I'm not entirely, where are you? Oh, I've just seen it there, Bewley. I thought that place looked familiar. The sunlight on the trees is great. I think your exposure could have come down just a little bit. So that means that you could have exposed more for the highlight and less for the trees. Don't let the camera do it all. You know, I just said, don't worry about arguing with your light meter. Now, Matthew, I don't know where you are on your photography journey. Maybe arguing with the light meter or underexposing, as some people call it, is not where you are right now. I get it, and don't worry about that. But I think the shot would be improved if it was darker, the exposure was darker, so let those shadows go blacker. Also, you wouldn't have quite so much brightness going on up there in the sky. Now down here, we've got quite a nice reflection, and I'm guessing you're almost in the water, even though, as I say, I know that spot, there's a little bit, isn't there, that sort of sticks out into the water a bit more. I'm guessing you're stood on there. Now, if you were super brave, hey Matthew, good to see you, my friend. If you got your welly boots on, I don't know if you could move out into the water a bit. I know I'm asking a lot there, but I think those reflections could work. But good man, good man. And also good on you for entering, because there's a lot of people who, you know, feel intimidated by the level of some of you awesome photographers and don't enter. This is how you grow. Before you know it, Matthew's going to be up there nailing it with everybody else, you know. But of course, at the end of the day, the only person you've got to please with your photography is you. Is you. Right. Oh, so many great pictures. What's the time? Okay, we're all right for a little while. Oh, here's one I really wanted to talk about. Sandy Frew. Hey, Sandy Frew. I love your idea. I really love your idea. Sunshine, creating a prism of colour on the wall there. I love your idea. Now, technically, it hasn't quite stood up, has it? So why is that? Well, it's not quite sharp. I'm guessing you've got some camera shake. I don't know how long your exposure was, Sandy, and don't worry, I'm not asking you to tell us, because it's always a ball ache when someone says, oh, I don't know, it was as long as it was. However, I love your idea. How could we have improved upon it? It may be a phone shot, I don't know. It looks like it might be, but it's a bit blurry and it's a bit soft and it's very grainy. I don't think you need all this stuff over here. Now I get it, you want to sort of say, well, what is that going on in the prism, and you need something over here to help explain that story to everybody. Here's my coaching. I would suggest if you could have moved round to your right a bit, so that you maybe had just a little bit of one of these ferns, these whatever they are, the ferns or brackens, I always get confused, excuse me. I'm just going to hide because otherwise my beard's going to look like it's all full of tinsel, and you won't like that, will you? Yeah, you need a little bit of something to help explain what is going on in that prism of light. So I think moving to the right just a bit, maybe just capturing a bit of that fern, and maybe a little bit of this, whatever it is, maybe even moving it, just reaching and lifting it out the picture, so you've just got the shadow of the fern. But great effort. I love that idea. Sunshine, it's a prism, it's all the colours of the what's it, isn't it? Fantastic. This one made me look, Carl Spitzer, I just immediately looked at this and thought it was great. I really did. I like the way you have thought about a photograph. You've pre-visualized something and then made it happen with this little figurine. Like the sun going on in the corner. I like the way you've allowed the sun just to be cut in half. And yes, it's very bright. And we are drawn to the brightest part of a picture. Not a problem, because that little figurine is alone. If there was buildings and other things and trees and going on in there, yeah, we would lose what this picture is about. Like the way you've positioned the figurine with the arms and the hands. I love the wild hair. That's a real let's fool around hairdo, that is, isn't it? I just thought it was great. I really do. I think it's a great picture. Again, technically very well executed. Your focus is absolutely on the little figurine. Is it Wonder Woman? I saw someone say. I don't know. I'm not a, whatever. Moving on. Yeah, all these little things, these little whatever they are that she's standing on, all absolutely pin sharp, as is her hair. Well executed photograph. Creative, nice thinking. Good one. So look at all this wonderful stuff going on down here as we scroll down. So many lovely pictures. I thought Jojo Dandy. Jojo, I really like this. I really do like it. The sunlight coming through barley. I'm pretty sure that's barley. I used to be a farmer in another life. Really, I'm a farm boy. You learn how to take photographs, but barley. Love the way the light's coming through there. Now barley's prickly old stuff. If you were in that field, Jojo, then I'm guessing you got itchy because it really prickles and scratches, doesn't it? I like the way you've thought about your composition. Composition is a dance with your camera. It's a function of arms and legs and hands and knees. It's bending your knee, getting yourself lined up, and you have done that very nicely. Technically, again, spot on, great exposure, focus is in the right place, all that good stuff. I'm guessing you used a smallish aperture to get a little bit of star thing going on. No, not that barley. All you want to do is go on holiday, Sue Owen. Anyway, small aperture to get a little bit of starburst. My coaching, Jojo, would be if you could have moved to your right a little, maybe it's a phone shot, I don't know. But to me, these trees behind the barley, they're just kind of intruding a bit too much. This is harsh coaching, but it's a great picture. And the same with this one. If you could have found a way to maybe move back a bit, use a slightly longer focal length. I don't know. You can't use much longer because you wouldn't have this lovely intimate feel with the barley, with all these little plants. Great shot. I just wonder, could you have found a little spot where you didn't have that big old tree there? So infuriating, isn't it, when things like this happen? Because you've got a great idea and a great shot going on, and somehow things conspire to just not quite work. Right, let's move on some more. What do we got? So many great pictures. Another lovely prism here from Stella Fag. I love this one, Linda O'Neill. Beautiful picture of a deer. And I love there's almost a little bit of movement in these grasses where the sunshine is coming through the grasses. Again, backlit. We've got a little bit of backlight going on. Really nice. Can you see how the sunshine is also just putting a little rim light around those furry antlers where they're just beginning to lose their velvet? It's just starting to come off. Beautiful picture. On my screen it looks just a touch soft. Again, could be a Facebook compression thing. I don't know. But I love the sunlight in the grasses. I think it is beautifully done. Oh, sorry. Oh, now that wasn't meant to happen, was it? Now I've gone and cocked it up. I wish I hadn't done that. Did poor man click in the wrong place? Here we go. One little thing though, Linda, I'm just thinking that just possibly, I love the grass, but just possibly a little bit off the bottom, maybe lowering your knees, bending your knees, getting a little bit lower if you could, because you don't want to lose this lovely bit of highlight grass here, but I think a little less foreground could have helped, or maybe a bit more space. I know, I'm a negative space junkie. I love seeing space around things, but that's me. You might not. That's just my thoughts. That'd be my coaching. Be interesting to see. So many great pictures. Let's move on some more. I hope I haven't missed some of these things that I really wanted to talk about. Nancy Catcher. Fountains. They're little sods, aren't they? Because they always look so intriguing and so inviting and so interesting when you stand next to them. You feel all that spray on your face. You try and photograph them. 9 times out of 10, it just doesn't look great. Excuse me. 9 times out of 10, it just doesn't look great. Now you've backlit the fountain. The sun is coming right through that. Straight at you, straight through the fountain. And that is one of the things that's bringing it to life. I think having this little bit of greenery either side, that has helped to work. Technically, very good indeed. Once again, it's all nice and sharp. Now I'm not sure, I'm guessing, oh it is, it's a mobile click. Yep, I was about to say, it looks a bit like it was taken with a phone, just because of the definition on the building in the background. Aren't phones infuriating? Because they seem to be able to do this so easily. My coaching, Nancy, just one little thing, and I'm being harsh, because I'd be a rubbish coach if I wasn't. This little bit down here, this little sort of little like lily pad fountain in the foreground here, if you could have come back just a bit and to the right bit, just so those little circular bits weren't cutting off, I think it would have made a big difference. Tiny thing, but it could make a big difference, simply because it would just kind of balance those circular shapes. But yeah, great capture. What else have we got going on down here? There are so many that I would like to talk to, but there is a couple that I really want to talk about, and I'm hoping I haven't missed them in messing around. Philip Marty Birtwhistle. You gotta love a cow, haven't you, huh? And what a pretty little cow we got here. You just want to go and give it a cuddle. They're just cute. Yeah, you see, I'm a farm boy. Grew up with cows wandering around the place. Sometimes we had a little Jersey cow come in the kitchen. But anyway, beautiful light, sunlight. Yeah, got it. Sunshine. The light has come through the trees. You've got, I'm guessing this is out on the forest somewhere, where they're out, they're loose on the forest. I don't know if you're somewhere in the New Forest, Philip. If you're here, it'd be interesting to know. Beautiful light, again, rim light. Shooting against the light, it is just the best. Look at this little rim light, in catching in all these little hairs here, and just bringing it all to life and helping separate this little cow out. Unfortunate, I think, that this one has decided to lay with its forelegs sort of curled under. Cows tend to do that, but it often makes them look a little bit weird, like they've got stumps as opposed to sort of legs. But then I have never seen a cow with its hooves outstretched. Great capture. I like the way you've composed it. Technically it all looks good to me. I like the way you've kept those little bits of bracken in there in the corner as well. Nice shot. Nice shot. Oh dear, we got an adult dating site being spammed on us. Hey ho, anyone want to go on an adult date? I might be free. I don't know if I can, I probably can't. Right, ignore it. Oh, go click it. Up to you. What else have we got going on down here? Lovely bit of sunshine coming in here from Sharon Miller. Nice starburst, Sharon. How do you create a starburst? Small aperture straight into the sun, but you've got to have something dark-ish behind the sun. So we've got a great blue sky here. So we've got a nice starburst, and I really, really like, again, the way the light is coming through these little feathery, you know, plants, these leaves on the ends of these twigs. They look absolutely great. My coaching, Sharon, will be, I don't know, these ones, on the other hand, they're not so great. They're just kind of, it's almost like they're gate crashing the party. These ones are having a great party. These are having a great time in that sun with the blue sky. You've also got a bit of yellow against the blue, which is phenomenal. However, this bit here is kind of like, I don't know, you know, the one that wasn't invited has decided to come in and have a strop. Would it have been possible to move a bit, find a place where you didn't have that one, or indeed a different tree without that encroaching? Impossible for me to know. I wasn't there. It's maybe not, but nonetheless technically spot on. I really like the way you've done that, and it has got that feeling of sunshine. So many of these pictures have. So many have. This made me laugh. This made me laugh a lot. Chloe Sastry. None in the sun. Excuse me. None in the sun. What could be more perfect than a nun in the sun? And I love this capture. Yeah, I like a little bit of documentary, a bit of street stuff. We've got sunshine on the nun. I love those stormy clouds. The positioning you've got in this shot, using the rows of buildings coming in either side and framing up. It's like we really have got a nun in the sun, and I just love it. I'm not sure about the hand doing this business around her nose, which is a bit of a shame. I don't know how long you had, Chloe. Maybe I should be looking in here, but I'm not sure about the expression, but it's a great capture. Again, technically spot on. You know, we got sun on her face, on her hands, which is on the phone, on the hat. Absolutely spot on. Little bit of softness in the background, separating her out. Little bit of shallow depth of field. I've just seen you said you've been absent here for a while. Don't you do that. Don't you do that. You keep coming back and giving us nuns in the sun and stuff like that. Hiding mouth, she's on the phone. Why would she do that, Michael? Maybe she doesn't want anyone to lip read her. Who knows what these nuns are talking about. Great shot. Great shot. It just made me laugh, and I really like it. You're in close. You've got a wideish angle lens going on. You're not shooting this from a long way away. You are physically close, and I think it is a cracking shot, Chloe. Welcome back. Please, please, please stay with us, because it's great to see your work again. What else have we got? Sandra Sim. I like your idea. And again, look, I'm noticing how many of you guys that are regulars here are backlighting things. Now, whether that's my influence because I bang on about it all the time, I don't know. But backlighting a little leaf, it just works. Look at these little veins and all the subtlety going on in there. The little blades of grass sparkling. Look at these little dewdrops on there. Absolutely cracking, lovely. Sandra, my coaching to you would be, I think it could be a bit darker. Just take that exposure down just a little bit. Now I know it takes a bit of bravery, a bit of courage to argue with the camera. So the camera, we're all told, you know, trust your camera, it's got an amazing light meter, it's got a gazillion different points that it meters from, and it does this and it does that, and it makes tea, can even fry your supper for you. But honestly, a camera is an idiot, it can't think and you can. So don't be afraid to argue with the light meter. Because you can think and the camera can't. What does that mean, argue with it? If you're in a semi-auto mode or something, use your exposure compensation. Just dial in a bit of minus, make it a little bit darker, because I think it would have really helped make these little subtle pieces stand out and help the sparkle stand out as well if it was a bit darker. If you're shooting in manual mode, just underexpose it from what the light meter says, because if you just, even shooting in manual, if you set what the camera tells you to, as in you get the light meter on the 0 in the middle, it's the same as being on auto. It's just that you're turning the knobs and dials instead of the camera doing it for you. So don't be afraid to play with your exposure. Exposure is part of composition in my world, because you're composing the picture, and how bright or dark it is, that's your choice, not the camera's. Great stuff though, great stuff. I'm still giggling about a nun in the sun. Excuse me. Appeals to my sense of humour. David Cunningham. Yeah, it's another one, you know, it's just really nice. Look at noticing this serene pool of water, and this small person walking along the edge there. I'm not sure where you are, but it looks like an interesting place. Great reflection. I think it's a really nice shot. David, my only coaching for you on this one would probably be that the shoulders look rather hunched, as in it's probably not the perfect moment. I like the position of the legs and the feet, and I'm being, again, harsh, but I just think the shoulders just look a little bit hunched, and the head a little bit down. Now, I don't know what was going on. Something that can work really, really well when you're looking at something like this. Maybe you see this scene and think, oh, there's somebody coming. Flip your camera onto burst mode, because then you don't have to worry quite so much about capturing it just right. And another thing, if you're not on burst mode, because you might not have had time to do it, is don't go click and look in the back, because when you're looking down there, you're missing all that heavenly glory out here. Yeah, when the action is happening, shoot. Don't go click, have a look in the back and think, oh, that wasn't very good, oh, where's he gone? Because you'll miss the moment. It's very tempting to look in the LCD, but try not to. But it's a great shot, David Cunningham. I like it. I like it. Oh, sunlight on the carpet, absolutely marvellous. So many things. Sunflowers. What could be more sunshiny than a sunflower basking in the sun? I like this one, Richard Jones. I like that little group of sunflowers. There's something about this little nest of sunflowers. There's something really nice about it, and I can't put it into words, I'm afraid. You're welcome, David. But there's something really nice about it. My only thing is, there's something going on over here. I think it's someone's car, and it's just really bugging things. You could have cured that just by bending your knees a little bit, because if you did, what would happen? The greenery of the other sunflowers would just cover the car, and then you're going to have also a bit more yellow on blue going on, a little bit lower, and I think it would have nailed it. But again, you've got a bit of backlight going on. The light's coming through those petals, and it's helping to bring it to life. Look at all these little whiskers on the stems. They're coming to life because you're shooting against the light. Absolutely cracking. Where are we? Right, we are coming to the point where we need to swap the screen around. But really good on you, and apologies if I haven't spoken about your image, and there are so many great images here. Please, please, please do not take that personally. I just hope that whatever coaching I give to everybody helps everybody, whether it is a photographer near the beginning of their journey or a photographer who is already, obviously, really rather accomplished. Beautiful picture. Beautiful picture, Jane Kilbride. Talking of accomplished. Yeah, beautiful picture. Again, you know, sunshine. Look at the use of light, the way it's just kissing on these rocks. And when you're going to shoot something, it's like, look around for something. Yes, we can see the sunset. We know that's going on. We can see beautiful clouds. But it's the key to this is noticing that little bit of light, just catching on those few rocks, because it makes a world of difference. I didn't know it was you, Jane. I just saw it, thought I need to talk about that one. Yeah, you're good at this. You've been around it a while. But these are the things that make Jane and others good at it. Notice what's going on. Photography is holistic. It's not a camera thing at all. Your camera doesn't take pictures any more than your oven cooks dinner. Your oven makes heat. You combine the ingredients to make the dinner. That is the difference. And this is an ingredient, noticing a little piece of light on the edge of a little pool of water and going, oh, that will look lovely, lining it up with the sun. Now, in order to do things like that, you've got to be able to use your camera on, automatically in your head, not have to think about it like you do when you're driving the car. You don't think, oh, right, now clutch down into gear, up with the eyes, move your arm, put on the indicator. You're doing it without thinking about it, and you need to be able to do that with your camera in order to give your brain the space to notice a little pool of light, or whatever else it may be that is going on in so many of these wonderful pictures. I can, of course, help you with that, because now I'm going to sort my screen out here. Bear with me. Here we go. I can, of course, help you with that. My Masterclass in Photography, it's got loads of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot. I know it makes a difference. It's 100% refund guaranteed. You don't need to spend money on more kit. You really don't. All you need to do is to learn how to use what you've got to the best of your ability. Then you can make an informed choice. Do I need that kit or not? There is a link in the description below, of course. Why wouldn't there be? Let's just see if I can figure out how to. We're getting there. Get everything working nicely. Oh, I've done something weird. That's better. So we are at the point where we can start having a look at my chosen picks of the week, my images of the week. These are just ones which jumped out at me and just got me. So, good point, Jane Barnes, thank you. Yes, please, people, if you would be good enough to click that like button below this live stream, it just helps because YouTube will see those likes. It also sees all the comments and all that good stuff. And then it will help to promote what we are doing here and hopefully grow the community a bit. Oh, a bit more adult dating. Right, let's go. So the first one, which I just kept coming back to, is by Maxine Jones. I love this. To me, it's hot. It's just hot, isn't it? A bit like the adult dating, really. It's hot. I love the lines and the tracks. I love people walking on the tracks. It's a weird thing. We don't see that, certainly not in the UK. But I just love the colours and the lines and the busyness. Okay, it strikes me a bit because, as I'm sure many of you know, I love a bit of documentary photography. That's really what I love more than anything else. So we have got sunshine without any shadow of a doubt, that red heat at the end of a day, people waiting to go home or go somewhere. It's creating a story. I think this is what I probably meant when I was talking about try and take a picture about something rather than just of something. Because the thing which sparks our interest as human beings is emotion. If you can touch someone's emotion with one of your images, you will get them to look at your picture, as opposed to going next. They might pause and go back and go, whoa, because it touched an emotion in some way. And it's not an easy thing to do because we are bombarded with images. But I love this, Maxine. I think it's a cracking picture. I love the way you've got into the right place and you've shot it. Near the Greek border, I've just seen that. Turkey near the Greek border. I love Turkey and Greece for that matter. Right, next, let's move on to the next one. I just love this one for Sunshine 2 from Cheyenne Morgan. A well thought out and well captured picture, this. Because you've obviously seen those tram tracks or whatever they are on the ground. Look at the angle this photo is taken from. We're right down low using those lines, those tracks to tram line straight into the sun. I don't know if you're here, Cheyenne, but did you plan this in advance? Because the sun is only going to line up down those tracks for a few days of the year. few days either side, a week either side, and the sun would either be behind the houses on the left or the trees on the right, and you would not get that sun coming down there. So is it something you've noticed before and planned it and thought, I'm going to come back and have another go at this? This is what I mean about photography being holistic. You've got to be aware of things like that, and you can't be aware of things like that when you're going, now which aperture do I need? Oh, I don't know. Oh, am I on the right shutter speed? Or what's the ISO for? You can't concentrate on this stuff when you're thinking about that. So I love it. And also the cyclist coming into this shot is just spot on. I don't know whether you went down there with someone you know and made it happen, I don't care. Or whether you waited for the moment, I don't care. This is a cracking picture, captured at just the right moment, with that sun framed just behind the front wheel of the bicycle. I'm not seeing any shiner action, I don't believe. So whatever, let's move on to the next one, because I am so sorry guys, I did it again. This is only the second time in the whole history of Photo Creative Jules vids. I wish you'd all use one name. Never mind. Great job, Jules, great job. I'd love to know. Luck, was it luck? Was it whatever it was, you kind of really thought about that shot. You really did. Okay. Moving on. Right, apologies, because for the second time in the whole history of Photo Creative and PLD, before it was Photo Creative, I have accidentally shouted out a picture which I didn't mean to shout out. So, John Colony. That's the reason I didn't say much about it. Idiot. Move on. What a beautiful picture. What a beautiful picture. This little bird with those backlit feathers, the light coming through them. Technically, of course, it's spot on, perfectly sharp, perfectly focused, perfectly exposed. Now, John, I would suggest, probably argued with his light meter a little bit in this case. I don't know. In order to make those feathers just pop so much and not just become too bright and burnt out, I'm guessing you may have needed to control exposure a bit, maybe bring it down a little from what the camera thought it would be. I think it's a beautiful shot. I love the positioning, where the bird is within the frame, you know. It's not all like cropped in too tight. It's not sort of going, bird! It's like you've got space to appreciate it and where it is. Cracking shot, John. Yeah. Beautifully captured, really beautifully done. I love this one too. This is sunshine without too much of the shine. I love this one, Philip Gray. It's just such a lovely, peaceful picture. It's, you know, I get it. You know, I can feel that cold mist on the skin, walking on a chilly morning. You know, and knowing that it's going to turn into a hot day, that sun's going to burn that mist away, and it's going to turn into a beautiful, sunny, warm, hot day. Susan, exactly. Beautifully minimalistic, captured at just the right time. Somehow the sun is at just the right height compared to that little lone tree. I love those folds in the ground, you know, the darker one and then the misty one. Hey Phil, glad you're here, mate. Is it your first ever runner-up? After 2.5 years. Oh mate, honestly, I didn't mean it to be whatever. Moving on. It's a cracking picture. What more can I say? I love the position of the sun. I love the way you've composed it as well. You just kind of let it sit there. You're not trying to use thirds too much or anything like that. It's just sitting nicely sort of across pretty much the middle of the picture, but off to one side a bit. The empty space to the left just helps it. I think it is a lovely, calm, peaceful, beautiful picture. What more can I add to that? I think it's a cracker. Another regular, Crystal Bartholomew. You're good at this, aren't you? Kids, children. And even though we haven't got like the sun shining in a blue sky, belting down onto something, we've absolutely got the feeling of sunshine. I have. I don't know, guys, tell me, have you got the feeling of sunshine like I have? I get it. Being a little kid staring out the window with the sun shining in the hair. I love the handprints, you know, the smeary handprints on the glass. Absolutely cracking. You are very good at this, Crystal. We know you often enter images of, I guess they're your kids, but you're very, very good at this. Again, look at the light. Look at that beautiful, beautiful light. Now, if the background was bright, that lovely halo, that silhouette wouldn't be there. If you're struggling to think, well, I've got a picture of a little kid looking out of a window and it doesn't look like that. It's light. It's always light. It's always light that makes the difference. Now, if there was a bright background, you wouldn't be able to see that lovely halo. The fact that the background is dark, of about the same tone as the clothes and the little girl's hair, that is what's making that rim light come out. So you're thinking, well, how are we getting that rim light? Well, it's because the sun's kind of up here somewhere and it's coming down over the top of something dark, and it's in cracking job. Technically, of course, it's perfectly exposed, nicely composed and beautifully sharp. Look at people's pictures, guys. Look at other people's pictures. Just ask yourself, why does this work? What if? Because it will help you to find what works best for you. So the one which I kept coming back for, my overall picture of the month, which I just kept coming back to because, you know, I was saying try and capture someone's interest. This one really caught my interest, and I think it is a lovely shot, and it's by Louise Cooper. I think it's a cracking shot. It's just like, what is going on here? I think you shot this on your phone. Yes, you did. I can see it written in there. I didn't notice that to begin with. And again, I don't really care what camera you use, because Louise has done that dance of composition, the choreography of composition. Look, to get the sun coming through that bit of the dive helmet in this wacky, crazy sculpture. Where are we? I think we're in Australia, aren't we? If you're here, Louise, I'd love to know. It might be a bit early for you. You're not all quite as crazy as Jane in New Zealand. But it's the sort of thing you'd see in Australia. Bending the knees, getting down low, thinking about, where do I want to put the sun in my picture? You can move the sun in the sky by moving your body, by moving around left, right. Okay, here's the point where we've got the sun. Now, do we move just a little bit just to make the sun just kiss right onto the edge of that corner piece of that dive helmet? The light is coming across the sand. It's a perfectly exposed shot, very, very beautifully done, well positioned in the frame. What more can I say? I kept coming back to it as a pick of the month purely because I kept coming back to it. That's all there is to say. Beautiful picture, beautifully well done. So that, my dear friends and photographers, brings us to the end of another Photo Creative Live feedback session. There is another challenge which is going to be live after this, this live feedback session. But remember, please, the newsletter has been discontinued. We've had to do that. We've got to cut back on the time that is being spent on this. Please don't think that it's all covered now, and I know you can see the ClickerSnap logo up there because I'm doing a lot of work with Tom and ClickerSnap. This is not sponsored by ClickerSnap, it's just something which helps me with what I'm doing with him. So please, donations are of course very welcome. You can make those on the page. There is the link in the description with this live stream to where you can always find out what the challenges are and what is going on, and where you can make a donation if you are finding these challenges and feedback sessions to be of value to you and your growth as a photographer. I would recommend you go to that page and bookmark it. If you see the old challenge when you do, because we're going to end this, then it just means I haven't put the new page live yet, so just refresh it a couple of times. It's been a wonderful evening hanging out with you all. It's so great watching you all grow, and it's possibly for me even greater to watch people who are entering shots when they know they're not likely to be the picture of the month, but they're doing it anyway, and that is how you become someone who gets to be on the pick of the month. So once again, pleasure talking to you all. Love you guys. If you're watching this and you haven't entered a challenge, get stuck in, enter a challenge, go and do it. Be well, take care, and I will see you next time.